Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
It's the Ramble. I'm Alex in big red letters, and we're here until midnight tonight from the East Coast of the United States. And a big hello to all of you from our wonderful New York City. And we're coming to you for another week of useless conversation. Oh boy, no, it's not useless. I guess it's not useless. But let me see here. How do I do this? Okay, I want to go to Phil Meyer, who we will admit here in a second, and make sure that he is. Yes, he's there. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, Phil Meyer. Quit calling us, folks. I don't want to have to see every time somebody calls. It shows up in the upper part of the screen, because I found that the best way to show you, Phil, and to stay in sync throughout the entire conversation is to use an entirely different way of capturing the picture, which then includes, if I bring my cursor in here. See, folks, you can see my cursor. So if you call, it gives the message that I'm getting a call. And well, anyway, hey, Phil.
Hey, how you doing? You know, it's Dr. Seuss's birthday today, and he was canceled. You know what are little kids going to do without Cat in the Hat and all of these other things? Not that I ever really read Dr. Seuss, but my parents bought a set of them, and I know they were in my room at some time.
Yeah, well, yeah, they were a little upset by the racism inherent in Dr. Seuss.
What is the cat is discriminating?
I have no idea what it's all about. Maybe it was that whole thing about to think I saw a nigger on Mulberry Street. I think that maybe was the one that bothered them. But yeah, pardon me for using that language, folks. But it was the only way to do the joke.
But now, when was his books written? In the 20s?
It was the 30s, 40s, 50s. You know, I mean, I'm so sick of all of this, okay? I'm really sick of it. I'm sorry that Dr. Seuss lived in another time, and maybe you can interpret some of what he did as racist. Listen, he had a Chinese character in one of his 1934 books that was painted yellow, and in years later, he then made him not yellow, okay? So...
yeah.
I mean, he was aware of the changing times, and he's not around to change it now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just so tired of, I'm sure you are too. I mean, it's probably the only thing you and I will ever agree on is that this whole cancel culture, which I hate that term, and it's in and of itself, the cancer culture is... cancel culture, excuse me.
Yeah, really.
Not cancer culture.
Now it's the heart culture. Luckily, you don't have that one. So Friday, I go in 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm supposed to be there. I don't know if I'm supposed to be there on the table at 6 or check in at 6.
So why don't you call them and find out so they don't start operating on somebody else by accident?
Yeah. Well, no, they check your toe tag.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
You know, they put the toe tag on first just in case.
Yeah. And, but the thing is, you're getting another a stent or something? What is it?
I think so. They go in with this thing they do an angioplasty, and I guess there's a balloon that stretches the artery, and there's also a camera so they can see what's going on.
Yeah.
And what they'll do is they'll see if a stent would be a viable option. And if it is, sometimes they can just stretch it and that's all they need to do. But at other times they put the stent in there and just to see, to make it
right.
what.
Well, this isn't dangerous, is it? I mean, do I have to worry about you if you die? Are you leaving me anything?
I have. This is something that's been on my mind all week. Is a will. Do you have a will?
Yeah, I have a will.
I don't have a will.
Girlfriend made me get one.
Smart. I don't have one. And now all of a sudden I started thinking about, well, what am I going to do? What if something happens to me, who's going to do what? Who's going to get what?
You know what you can do? You can go online.
Yeah,
That's what Marjorie did. And you can specify what you want in a will, and they will make out the will for it. It costs something like $250, but they'll make the will for you and everything and tell you
this
how
way,
to file.
Whoever I leave things to don't have to worry about probate and it going to the state or somebody else.
Yeah.
That
I would do it if I were you.
Yeah, I'll go on LegalZoom or something and do it in the morning.
Yeah. But then, make sure you leave me something so I can wish you dead.
Well, there was this old joke I heard about the reading of the will, and this guy he's at the reading of the will, and the attorney says, you're included in the will, and so this guy Maury says, I didn't think anybody, I didn't think I'd be mentioned, and so the guy reads the will and he says, hello, Maury. So that was his mention. No money, but Maury.
I thought I'd be mentioned. Yeah.
Well, there's other stuff going on today besides Dr. Seuss. Texas, all masks are off.
Yeah. Now that governor should literally be ripped out of his wheelchair and thrown out of office.
I didn't know he was in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
But there's a benefit to this. I noticed that Charlie posted that there was 28 million plus cases of COVID.
Yeah.
If we keep up at this rate, we'll have herd immunity in a couple more months. You think about it. It's 330 million people. We already have 28.
Yeah, but if people keep doing what that governor is doing, we're not going to reach herd immunity.
Not if they all get infected.
Here's the thing. Look, there's no question. To begin with, the numbers are going up again. Here in New York, they're going up again.
Well, there's variants, I guess, that are rearing their head.
Yeah, but the point is that right now is no time for us to let up. Okay? It's going down, but it's plateaued. So it's not really going down.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember when they used to go down. No more.
Yeah,
well, what's happening in New York and California and a few other places is they're relaxing some of the restrictions because of the political pressure that the governors are feeling to open up the economy.
Governors should not give in to political pressure in this deal. The fact is that there are certain immutable things that you have to do in order to keep this from going any further. Yes, it's gone down. Whoop-de-doo. Are we suddenly going to become complacent? No, we want it to go down all the way. All right?
Some people are saying that it was political, these lockdowns, and not,
they weren't.
not necessary.
No, they weren't.
When you look at states that didn't lock down, like Florida.
Florida has had a lot of cases, Phil. They've had a lot of cases.
But they're no worse off in cases than states that locked down.
States that locked down? No, they're worse than New York, and New York locked down completely. Yes. He closed all the restaurants. He closed all the movie. He closed everything in the beginning. Okay, and then said we will open up things as the science shows us we can open them up. But the fact is, to say that Florida hasn't had any cases, Phil,
I didn't say that.
Phil, they went from almost next to nothing to 25,000 cases. Okay, I'd say it's 25,000 dead. I'd say that's pretty much a bad situation in Florida. And in Texas is they're dying like flies in that state, and the guy's suddenly deciding, well, we're going to open everything up, the movie theaters, the restaurants. Oh yeah, fine, good idea, pal.
Well, they can open things up, but they don't have any electricity to if you went into them, you can't do anything.
First he fucks up on that, and then he fucks up on this. Listen, the fact is, if we're going to kill this thing, we've got to strangle it. Okay, and strangling it is wearing masks. It's. I say, I think New York's gone a little bit on the wrong side here because our governor is in such heat that he's trying to make everybody happy. Oh, I'm going to open the restaurants to 35%. Why? Well, because then maybe you won't notice that I just patted another woman on the ass.
Now it's 3 that have come forward.
Well, look, that thing's got me really mad because, and we'll get into this with our citizen panel later, but I just, to me, what did he do that was that wrong? I mean, maybe he wasn't being 100% a gentleman, but he didn't stick his finger anywhere, and he didn't stick his penis in anything, and he didn't molest these women. I mean, and one of them who's complaining is running for office here in Manhattan, so she needs the publicity. I mean, come on.
I'll tell you what it's about. 2 things. One is hypocrisy. Because during the Kavanaugh hearings, you had Cuomo saying that Kavanaugh needed to be investigated and all of these things, and they basically hung Kavanaugh by his toes.
But Kavanaugh was being accused literally of rape.
Right.
Okay. None of these charges even get close to that with Cuomo.
Does it matter the level of charges? Because I can tell you second thing is
Phil, you're a cop. Is rape against the law?
Yes.
Is holding somebody's cheeks and saying, gee, you're pretty? Is that against the law?
In a work environment,
Phil, it wasn't in a work environment. It was in a social environment.
Some of them were in work environments.
No, some of them were, but not all of them. The point is, rape is a violation of another person's body. These things were women saying, I felt uncomfortable. Well, if you felt uncomfortable, why didn't you report it at the time? If you felt uncomfortable, why didn't you report it when you quit? Okay? If you felt it violated you, you should have reported it long before this. It's a couple of years.
Like Blasey Ford. But I'll tell you the second point that I'm going to make about our friend Cuomo is I have a 30-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
If he did to my daughter what he's being accused of doing to those other guys.
What did he do?
Well, he made them feel uncomfortable. And
I'm sorry.
And said something.
I'm sorry. You just go, that is a question of, if my old line was.
He kissed one of them without her permission. He started talking about suggestive things like banging an old man.
No. You see, you're making it sound worse than it was. He didn't say.
Yes, it was.
He didn't say banging an old man.
What did he say then?
He said, "How do you feel about having a relationship with an older man?"
He said sex. He said sex with an older man.
All right, sex with an older man.
Okay, so does that go very far from banging? You got banging, you got sex.
Let me remind you of something.
Yeah.
Is Andrew Cuomo married?
Not anymore.
No.
And his wife probably had a good reason to get rid of him.
Hold on. He's single. All right?
And ready to mingle.
He's single. So when he goes to a social engagement or he just sees somebody, he may show a certain amount of intentions because he'd like to get to know them better. Can we put it that way?
Right.
All right.
But the thing is, in a work environment, and he's the governor, he should be able to set a better standard.
Look, I agree with you that in this day and age, he said it should have been extra careful, but he wasn't. But he didn't. It wasn't. Nothing he did in any way even came close to being an assault or even an encroachment on their bodies.
Right, but it's hypocritical.
He came on to them. And quite frankly, as I used to like to say, if he was like Oh, I don't know.
Oh, what's that actor? George Clooney.
If he were George Clooney, they'd go, well, yes.
Right.
I mean, come on.
You know the one where you say,
And quite
"Hey,
frankly,
would you?"
I asked my wife tonight, I said, if Andrew Cuomo came on to you, what would you do? She said, I'd see how far he wanted to take it. Because she thinks he's sexy.
Yeah,
The fact that these women are coming forward now because it's like a big gangbang pile on Cuomo. But the fact is that I don't want to see his ability to govern this state slowed down at all, because he was doing good work. I think it's kind of suffered lately because he's afraid of what because all this is hit now, and so hey, I'll give you. He gives, as my friend Shecky calls it, a shiny quarter. In that, okay, 35% in restaurants and things
right.
like that to make it all better, and
That's right.
it's wrong.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so is he following the science, or is he just trying to get out of hot water?
I've been mad at him lately because I think he's endangering us.
You think he's going to resign?
It depends on how bad this thing gets.
And his career over, even if he doesn't resign.
His career for the time being is over. I mean, he might be able to get reelected as governor. I'd vote for him again. Okay. Yeah. But his career in future politics is over. All that presidential talk is gone. But that's for now.
Yeah.
Go.
People have a short memory.
6 years, 7 years down the line, all this will be forgotten. You can move on. It'll be brought up if he's running for president, but he'll ward it off. He'll have some way to take care of it,
Pivot, yeah.
He'll pivot.
Do you think his book is going to be out with Dr. Seuss?
Who knows?
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact is that the guy did do a good job for us for the longest time, and he did. I feel he saved my life. Okay, and saying that is very important. That he,
Why don't you give Dr. Fauci the credit, because he was the one that said after a while, wear a mask.
Well, I give Fauci a lot of credit for a lot of stuff. I mean, I think he's only followed the science. I think at the time that he said we don't need to wear masks, we probably should have worn masks, but we didn't need to. But if we did, there'd be a run on masks, and then the doctors and nurses wouldn't have the masks because there wasn't enough of masks available.
There was a run on masks, but the last point I want to make on this Cuomo thing is I keep thinking her name is Pocahontas. What's her name? Her and Harris have both been silent on these accusations, where they were very vocal on all the accusations that were foisted on Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
And because it's just crickets.
Well, I think Kavanaugh was an asshole, and I think Kavanaugh probably did do something horrible, but, he managed to get approved because you had a bunch of Republicans who were willing to turn their heads the other way. I think he was a terrible, terrible person, quite frankly.
Oh, there's one other thing going on with this COVID bill. I guess I'm not going to get a raise, because they're not going to approve the $15 an hour deal with this COVID bill. And if the minimum wage went to $15 an hour, my salary would get doubled. Yeah.
Well, mine would be incredible. But
does that mean our Social Security has to go up to $15 an hour?
No. What bothers me is that we're even arguing about this. I mean, to say that somebody works for you and you don't respect them enough to pay them at least $15 an hour, is disgusting. It really should be higher than that. I mean, somebody goes to work every day, they do whatever. And let's face it, let's be very honest. The jobs that are the most difficult, okay? And I've often said this. My job is simple. I just sat in a radio studio and I talked. Somebody ran the control board and I talked some more. and then I did some, and then I
All
talked some more. And
talent.
meanwhile, some guy is working on a what do you call it line? An assembly line, putting in one bolt or something, or closing a box or taping a box, one box after another. Repetitive work.
His job will be pushed out by robots.
Whose job? Who's worth more? When it comes to
Robot.
to a job.
Well, I toured a factory last year that they had robotics in, and it was so advanced that they wouldn't let me take pictures. And the carpet squares came, the robot took them, put them in a box, moved the box to another assembly, to another line, which put them out on pallets. It was amazing what I was seeing. But this is the kind of work that people shouldn't do because it's repetitive and it's dangerous.
It's soul sucking.
Yeah,
it's soul sucking. So why isn't that guy getting $25 an hour? I mean, he's working his ass off because he doesn't have the education to have a desk job.
Andrew Yang said that they're going to have to retrain people because robots will eventually take all of those menial jobs that are repetitive. And that's going to put even, those truck drivers. You've got a couple of guys on your panel, Todd and the guy with the dog. In the not too distant future, trucks will be robotic or self-driving, and maybe for a while they're going to have people in them just as a fail-safe.
But all I'm saying is that in jobs, the people who are getting paid the least are the people who work the hardest. Would you agree with that?
There's a difference between hard work and working harder.
Phil, I'm saying working at a soulless job that sucks the soul out of you. Those jobs are the ones that get paid the least, and those are the people who should get paid the most. I mean,
sounds like my job.
I'm sitting there on my ass talking, making $100,000 a year. Meanwhile, this guy is on an assembly line closing boxes or taping a box shut, and then another box shut, and another box shut, and another box shut, and we go on and on. And he's getting $5, $6 an hour? Are you kidding me?
There's guys that just got about 12,000 of them just got laid off in the Midwest, I guess, on the XL pipeline. Those were union jobs. Now, I'm not a supporter of unions, but those were union jobs. These guys were making $45, $50 an hour plus benefits, and now they're unemployed, can't feed their family. So if you're going to eliminate jobs or you're going to train people, I was watching an interview. The guy says, I'm 45 years old. What am I going to do? Solar? Okay, you're going to build solar panels. Where do they build solar panels? They build them in China. So what's he going to do? Move to China? Or he's going to work for, 8 cents an hour and a bowl of rice because that's the only way you can be competitive against China?
Yeah.
So we're so worried about these entry-level jobs. I can't hire anybody. I have a position that's been open for 6, 7, 8 months, and I've just spent $2,000 on a service to try to hire someone. I've gotten no hits.
What's the job?
Sales job.
Sales job.
I pay a very high commission. Plus, I pay a guarantee of about $2,000 a month. So if you show up, you get $16.50 an hour, which is 1.5 times minimum wage. So every hour I pay is an hour of overtime.
Yeah.
And if you sold zero, you would make a little over $2,000 a month. If you sell something.
Of course, if you sold zero for too long, you wouldn't be hired much longer.
No,
right?
that's true. Yeah. It's just that I pay $25,000 a year just as a base, and without there's
it's very good of you, Phil.
Medical.
Look,
and
listen,
other things.
I am sure you are a decent employer to work for. You
I
know?
just can't get anybody to work for me.
Yeah, well, you're in a bad time for that.
Except Tony wants to work for me, you know.
I'll come out. I'll fly out if you can give me.
Yeah. Well, you got a future in floor covering sales. Trust me.
I think so. I think so. Hey, listen, always good to talk to you, my friend. Although I disagree with a lot of what you have to say.
Before you leave, how was the shot?
I'm going to tell the whole story next, but it went fine.
You live to talk about it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
In fact, it's a great story because it turned out to be more than I expected it would be.
Oh, they gave you 2.5 shots?
No. It's how we got the shots.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Very good. Now I got to listen.
Yeah. I think you'll enjoy it. It's right next over most of this GabNet. Thank you, Phil.
All right. Hey, I'll call you after the operation to let you know I'm alive.
Let me know you're okay, all right? And I'll be
if you don't hear from me by Sunday or Monday, they put the toe tag on and wheeled me down to the basement.
Well, I will be thinking of you and hoping the best. Okay?
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Meyer. Goodbye, Phil. Thank you so much for having joined us on our fine little program this evening. Okay, let me see here. It is time for us to admit the citizen panel. We have like 4 people waiting right now, so that's better than nothing. All right? And I will, let me see here. Let's go over here and see what the story is. There we go. There they are, ladies and gentlemen. There's our citizen panel. Hi, guys.
Hello.
How are you? There's Alan, and there's Charlie, and there's Brian, and there's Dan, and we hope more of you will call this evening. Also, if you haven't ever called before, please call. Go over to gabnet.net, and there you will find on the right-hand side a thing about how to go on the citizen panel. In the middle of it, it says, click here to Zoom us. All you have to do is click on that, and it will immediately start ringing us here at our Zoom address. All right? Very simple process. Anyway, so how y'all doing? Good?
We're hiring about 1,600 people if anybody's looking for a job.
Oh, really? Okay.
Engineers to entry level. So I know you guys are talking a lot about jobs.
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah. Robert, hello. Hello to Charlie. Hello to Brian. Hello to Dan. I'll have you plug that again in a couple of minutes here, Brian. And Robert Natali. Now, have you gotten your shot yet, Robert?
Yes, in fact, I did last week.
Last week. Okay, good. What kind did you get?
I went with the Pfizer flavor.
You went with the Pfizer flavor. Okay, so you got 3 weeks till the next one, right?
That's right, the 18th.
Yeah. Had they already set you up for it and all of that?
Yes.
See, at my place, they didn't, and I had to do it myself, and so I waited 5.5 weeks. But let me tell you the story, okay? So, we go over there, and I'm expecting that it's going to be a long wait, that there's going to be a line. And we got there, and sure enough, there was a long line. All right? So we get out of the car. And before we went, Marjorie said, my leg is killing me today. I think I'm going to use a cane. I said, good move. So we get out of the car, the car we hired, and we are greeted. There's a woman right there with all the stuff showing she's a person that works there. And she looks at me and she looks at her, and I don't know if the cane was the selling point on this, but she said, "You're older people, come with me." What? There was a line that was like an hour long, all right?
Oh, sure. Now you want privileges because you're old.
You're old.
I see how it is.
You're older. Now, I don't know if what they did is that she saw the cane and went, she needs help, right? She's practically dancing out of the car. The stick is just there, right? So we go down, and she walks us over and says, okay, you go over to 5 and you go over to 6. Huh? We go over to these desks. No wait at the desk. We sit down. Person gives me a couple of pointers, like this is only being used for compassionate use. You know, it has not yet been approved. And I said, what arm do you want it in? And I said, well, I had it in this arm last time. They said, well, let's do this arm this time. Basically, because the guy was sitting there. And I said, okay. And he shot me in the arm and he said, thank you very much. Go over there and wait for 15 minutes. And I go over there and Marjorie's already over there and we're sitting there just waiting for 15 minutes. We leave, we go home. I got home because we left early. I got home about 5 minutes before my appointment was supposed to start.
Good.
So it was a nice payoff for all that I've gone through with getting it late and all of that.
Yeah, it's
you know.
like a happy ending to this whole
Yeah.
saga.
Yeah. And Marjorie felt pretty sick the next day, kind of felt puny, all right? And I felt a little aches in my body, but not bad. And then the next day she was fine, and I was still kind of feeling, what's the word, fatigued. And it was okay. We were fine, you know, and we felt great because now we felt protected, you know.
And how'd
Is
you
it
feel
possible?
the day before?
What?
Sorry.
How'd you feel the day before? Fatigue?
The day.
And what about the day before that shot? Fatigue?
Well, I always feel
And what about the day
fatigued.
before? Fatigue?
How did you know the difference?
This fatigue. This fatigue
Yeah.
was different. It was different. It was we just kind of like, that kind different. It was a different kind of fatigue.
And so it was like, what was it like for like, or
Well, I gave it 2
Okay.
Okay. Yes, Alan.
So is it possible that they moved you up because somebody said, "Who's that old geezer with that good-looking woman? Let's get them in the front of the line."
Sure.
No, I don't think so. No,
Oh, okay.
they felt.
It's a possibility.
I don't know
though.
if the cane was the selling point. Okay, but I had talked to my friend Shecky about this, and he said, "Good idea would be to bring a cane with you." Because he
Absolutely.
saw them taking people who came in wheelchairs and moving them right to the front of the line.
Well, he recognized
use the cane,
that
great
you
chief.
were
Yeah, it
a
was
celebrity.
it was my celebrity. Yeah, they
Yeah.
didn't want me to say bad things about them on the Ramble. It might
Yeah.
get out to all 36 people.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, we're important people.
Yes, Charlie.
That wouldn't have worked in Texas. I saw lots of people with canes waiting in line with me, and none of them got moved to the front of the line.
No
Really?
legs.
Really? Well,
So I
that's why I don't live in Texas any longer.
one of my part-time volunteer jobs is that I take care of a couple older guys. They're in their 80s, and I finally
Watch
talked
it.
them into
Watch
going.
it.
Finally talked them into going to get a shot.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You can't come in with them." And they're like, "Well, we're not going to get the shot." And I'm like, "Why can't I come in with them?" And I showed them my little CDC card. They said, "That thing's worthless. You can buy them on eBay." And I'm like, "Really?" I said, "Now these guys are not willing to go in." I had to spend 3 months talking to them, or 2 months talking them into it. And now they're not going to go in without me. Sorry. So I said, "You're just going to turn us away?" You know, it's a mess. They ended up. I talked to a supervisor, and they ended up accepting me to come in. Of course, I was wearing a mask, and they got their shots.
Robert, what was your experience?
Mine was at a pharmacy, and I walked in, checked in at a table, and they said, "Come with me." I waited on the line with about 10 people ahead of me. Might have taken 15 minutes for the line to move forward. Got my shot, and they told me, "Sit down for 15 minutes, but nobody's really going to pay attention to you."
Yeah.
So about 10 minutes in, I said, "Fuck this," and I got up and left.
Wow.
You
Okay.
So-
left 5
Easy
minutes
peasy.
early. Oh my god!
And he got it at
no.
a pharmacy.
easy.
He got it at a pharmacy, and before he left, he got to pick up some,
Cough
You
drop.
know,
cough drops.
you joke, but that was the first store I've been in a year. So while standing online, like I felt like a kid at FAO Schwartz,
Yeah,
looking at
yeah.
all. wow, they got chocolate here. They got cough drops. Oh my God.
You want a big shopping spree?
Well, I didn't buy a goddamn thing, but
Oh.
it was just to me, it was just like discovering America.
It was
So
like
this-
it was
to
just
me,
like a
this-
magical wonderland.
To me, the scary thing, Robert, is that you left early. So the 15-minute thing is important. If you'd walked out of the store and went into anaphylactic shock, you would have been unhappy.
They told me that if that was going to happen, it was going to happen in the first 30 seconds to a minute.
Mhm.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually seen someone go into shock from a bee sting,
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
and this person hit the ground like they got shot
Yep.
out cold.
Yep.
well, not
And-
many. I
and-
think I asked them if many people have had problems, and they said we've had a few. Some people are just allergic to this stuff.
That's right.
They're allergic to some component of it. But this isn't your normal vaccine. This isn't like a shot of a piece of the bad stuff, And it worked out pretty well. I mean, I was amazed. I was amazed at, I liked their efficiency, but I couldn't tell. I would have been, I'd probably be here today complaining if I had to wait in that line.
Aren't you?
Okay? Because I don't understand why there is a line. If you're making appointments every 5 minutes for a certain amount of people, and you could do I saw there were about 10 tables there. You could do about 10 people every 5 minutes, all right? Doesn't take longer than that. And you've made their appointment, and you've said your appointment is for this time. Why is there a line? What happened that made a line exist? And I can't figure that one out because it should. Am I right? It logically it should not be a problem. But
My appointment, as I've said, was at 1:03. So
That's right.
what about the 10 people ahead of me? Like I was only there 3 minutes,
Right.
ahead of my scheduled appointment. So why 10 people, not 3 people?
right.
But
Right.
I'm not complaining.
So what store chain was it?
Rite Aid.
Rite Aid. Oh, okay.
And it was an hour drive for me.
Because everybody says, they say, well, what kind of shot did you get? Well, I got Pfizer. Well, I got Moderna. Well, I got Johnson and Johnson. And by the way, they put a Band-Aid on my arm, and it was a Johnson and Johnson
Was it a
Band-Aid.
cure ad?
No, I think it was a cure ad. The Johnson and Johnsons are only used for the Johnson and Johnson.
Right.
But I felt really good afterwards, like I'm safe now. I mean, I'm sure you felt that way a little bit, Robert, because you're right now you're at about 50% protection, and in a few
On
weeks.
my way out of the store, I tongue kissed about 5 people.
Good,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I'm ready to go to a rock concert now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mosh pit. Yeah.
yeah.
Listen,
Couple
I'm still double masking it when I go out, and mine won't be at its peak for about 2 weeks. In about 2 weeks, I will be pretty much taken care of. Who do
So
you?
Robert,
I'm
with Pfizer, they're without you reading all the garbage, you have no protection until day 12. At day 12, you have 52%, according to if you go to Pfizer's website,
And it keeps going up.
and it keeps
Are you
going up.
talking from the first shot or the second shot? Because I
first
just
shot.
got my my second shot on Friday. So
Okay. Did you have any side effects at all?
no, my arm hurt a little bit.
Yeah, my
but
arm
that's
still
it.
to this
Yeah.
day. Well, that's not.
Yeah,
even,
there's a
it's
little
not even hurting now.
soreness.
And
Just a
how
little
about
bit,
your
but
arm,
it
Robert?
will- That's all.
I kind of felt old the day of the shot because when the girl asked me which arm, I asked her, when this is over, will I be able to play the violin? And she didn't know the joke. And I thought, oh my God, I'm really getting old,
I don't know the joke.
Oh,
I
well,
didn't-
let me ask him the question. Ask me the question.
When I'm finished, will I be able to play the violin? And the
can't
joke,
rem-
the
I can't
answer
remember. I
is,
can't remember what the
well,
straight
the
line
answer
is.
is, were you able to play the violin before?
Oh, well, you were
this?
able to play the violin before.
Right.
No. Well, then you won't be able
The
to
answer
play
is,
it
of
anymore.
course not.
Okay.
Of course not.
Okay, I see. I see. I think I've heard that somewhere before.
I think Dan's a youngster, and it was
Yeah,
before
well,
his time.
I'm 51 years old, and I come in here to feel youthful. Whenever I feel old, when I come in
Oh,
here on
thank you.
Gabnet, I
Fuck you,
feel
man.
so. I'm sorry, everybody, but I couldn't resist. By the way, if you want to get off the COVID talk, I got sucked into that goddamn Woody Allen shit.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back in 10 minutes.
Well,
Yeah, let
either
me-
which way, if Alex wants to talk about
I'll
it.
go for a drink. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
Nobody
watched.
cares about the Woody Allen thing.
No.
Okay, I don't care.
All I've got to
So
say
what?
is I watched the latest one, and it is the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I just gotta say, I mean, I got
What?
wrapped up into it because you told me about that 60 Minutes interview, and you know how YouTube will feed you similar videos. And but I'm feeling the same way too. But then there's that video at the end. I'm like, boy.
Right. Like the kid wasn't coached.
So can I change the subject?
Like wait a minute,
I
like
don't
the
know.
kid,
Nobody wants to
like
talk
the
about
kid
this, I
wasn't
guess.
like the kid wasn't coached.
I don't know.
Do you know
I
any
probably
kid
not.
who's 4 years old that refers to her
That's
nether
like-
areas as private parts?
I think so. In that age, like
You're
7 years old?
absolutely. Anybody
Yeah.
here ever know a little girl ever referred to that part of her body?
I mean, I've never heard any girl.
they
talk
may call
about
it something like
I-
their poo poo
and
or
if
their
I heard
nay nay
any
or
girl-
whatever. But
And if I heard any girl talk about it, I'd probably lose my job.
did you have any daughters, Robert?
Yeah,
Did you have
I
any,
beg your pardon?
Do you have any daughters?
No.
I do not.
No.
Okay.
I have one
Anybody here
son.
have any daughters? You have a
I have
daughter.
a daughter.
Has your daughter yet, Brian, ever referred to that part of her body as her private
Take the
parts?
fifth.
No, my pee-pee.
Pee-pee. Yeah. I mean, private parts? That sounds like it was a coach. It was a
I
coached
mean, I
answer.
have no. I'm kind of up in the air. I'm not.
All I'm
can't
saying is this thing
either
was
way.
settled.
By that.
This thing was settled.
Yeah.
This thing was settled years ago. And if they were an honest documentary, they go out and get the rights to the 60 Minutes interview and intersperse
They
that
played-
in there.
At the very beginning, they played a little piece.
No,
of
they didn't.
It was. I thought that's what it was.
No, it wasn't. That wasn't the 60 Minutes interview.
Okay, I don't know. But
And
I only have one, and I'm kind of on Team Woody, but at the same time, I have the question: are we saying that either Dylan and or Mia Farrow have been keeping this elaborate lie going on for
No. Mia
35
Farrow,
years?
Mia Farrow
She's
coached
like
her.
a
Coached
plotting
her.
cult leader or
Kids of
something.
that age can be told that something happened that didn't happen. It happened in the. You remember that school in California, the day school? I'm trying to remember the name.
It was the devil worshippers or something.
No.
Satanic cult.
No, it was a day school. And the
school.
teachers were all accused of this. And it turned out that all these kids had been coached. All these kids had been made to believe that this had happened to them.
Yeah, but weren't they accused of being
The
Satanists?
McMartin
too?
preschool. The McMartin preschool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were accused of being Satanists too.
Yeah. No, but it was completely thrown out. Just completely thrown out. But
well-
that's a perfect case of where you can program a kid to believe that something happened that didn't happen.
I would say that the fact that Mia Farrow would videotape that in the first place is kind of bizarre.
Well, she's wacko. She's crazy.
I think she is wacko, and that's why the only hesitancy I have is she seems too much like a ditz to come up. It seems like we're accusing her of coming up with this whole elaborate plot.
She's
And
crazy.
she
No, she's
doesn't
not a
seem smart
ditch.
enough
She's
for
not
that.
a ditch. She's
Okay.
crazy. She's crazy. If
Marijuana
she were a
does
ditch,
that
she
to
wouldn't. She wouldn't be as dangerous, But anyway, enough of that.
Oh yeah, no, I guess
Shame on
numbers
HBO.
go down.
I would cancel my HBO if it weren't for like the shows they have that I like. So anyway, that shows you what a
So I have a funny something.
what.
So
We'll be
as
the
you
judge
get
of that.
older,
Mhm.
as you get older, I've talked with some of my older friends. the ball sack tends to hang
Oh,
down. lower.
jeez almighty. Do we have
And
to?
so-
Can we go back to Woody Allen, please?
No. This is my office chair. I got an office chair and I adjusted the height. And now every time I sit down, you got to be careful because the nuts get in the way. And you sit on them. And when you weigh close to 300 pounds, it's not fun.
Okay, on to other topics
Next
now.
subject.
You know,
Robert, where was your list of stuff? Where's your list?
I'm sure there's a rerun of My Mother the Car on somewhere. Hold on, I'll find it.
Now I know why Charlie left.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. Yeah.
What
You guys
happened?
wait till you
Where-
sit
where-
on
where
yours.
did, where did
Well,
Charlie?
fuck Alex for getting me wrapped up in the Woody Allen thing. So
Who?
What?
Alex told me about the 60 Minutes thing, and then I got wrapped up into it. So I'm wrapped up in the Woody Allen thing, but nobody else cares. So whatever.
I
Well,
would
we heard
think
about
that's
it.
the hobby.
I mean, it's like, because I usually don't like the celebrity stuff, but I'm like,
Don't you have a
I got
list,
wrapped up
Robert?
in it.
All right, enough with the Woody Allen already.
All righty.
No more Michael Jackson.
Huh?
Let's talk about Michael Jackson.
Yeah, let's talk
Oh,
about Mike.
Jesus.
At least that kid got paid like $50 million to shut up.
How about Bill Cosby? Let's talk about Bill Cosby.
Let's talk about your crook. What's his name? The governor there.
Oh, geez, he's not a crook.
Who is he, a crook?
He's a perv.
He's not a perv. You know, that's what I hate. Hold on a second. That's what I hate about when people say things about people that they don't have proof of. It's only their word against the other person. All right? Nobody saw any of these things happen. Nobody was there. There was no proof of any of this. And all of a sudden, a man's career as governor may be completely washed up because nobody is taking into account that, like, for instance, one of the women who complained is running for a political office here in New York City. All right? You know.
It smells a little like Al Franken to me.
It sounds a lot like Al Franken.
Yeah.
But it also sounds. What about Kavanaugh? There was no proof, and they made a big deal about it.
Was there no proof?
Yeah,
the lady.
They had that long testimony by Ford. What's her name?
So this Professor Ford from Stanford is a world-renowned professor of something, but she's one of the top 10 people that know how to teach.
But let me stop a second. All right, just stop a second.
Okay.
The Kavanaugh thing, as I told Phil, doesn't enter into this discussion, and the reason it doesn't become part of this discussion is that Andrew Cuomo at no time has been accused of rape, which Kavanaugh was. Okay? He's only accused of maybe, he's a single guy, right? He needs to find dates, all right? Of maybe saying things that, to women at parties. One of them was at a party, all right? He didn't like to stick his finger in them or tongue kiss them or force himself on them or anything like that. These
Didn't
are
take them
all
into an attic.
Or grab them by the pussy, I might add.
or grab them by the pussy. So don't try to compare it to the Kavanaugh situation. That was an accusation of rape. All right. This is an accusation of acting improperly.
Yeah, without proof.
Or making
Without
making unwanted advances.
Yeah, without proof, though.
I think there was a lot of proof in the.
It's a matter of who you believed. It was one person's word
Yeah.
against another.
Yeah, that's what all
That
these
doesn't
things
mean
are.
there was no
Really.
proof. It means there's no one else that was witness to it, but that doesn't mean there wasn't proof.
You've got to
It
remember
was a
also
matter of
that if memory serves as
Alan.
well in the Kavanaugh situation, there was somebody else that wanted to come forward to corroborate it or to give a similar story, and she wasn't allowed to.
It was blocked.
Yeah, she was blocked. So there was a lot more going in the Kavanaugh case than there was here. In this case, what they're saying he did was, come on, I mean, he's just kind of being flirtatious with people here.
Well, what was the position? I mean, you always got to, the power
Look,
dynamic.
He's got to be.
Considered.
He was the governor of New York. He had to be very in a time of Me Too, and he had to be very careful about his actions. He wasn't. He was kind of stupid. But then again, the guy has a dick. It gets hard. It tends to lead him around like a divining rod, So I mean,
not many people just brush that aside.
Yes, Robert.
How quickly we forget that not long ago, Republicans were lined up behind a guy that was dating 12-year-olds. How quickly we forget that the Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert, was propositioning boys in a toilet. How quickly we forget. And Cuomo says something inappropriate, and we're going to make that an either or?
Well, I mean, the question is, how inappropriate were any of these things? They certainly weren't overtly inappropriate. He was just simply being flirtatious.
Smack him in the face.
Or
throw a glass of water at him.
It's kind of like I said something to Marjorie tonight about to get back to Woody Allen for 1 second. Don't bring it up. Don't talk about it, Dan. But for 1 second, no. What I said to her was, it's been 29 years.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah, shovel dirt on this story.
Yeah. Get over it. What are you wasting our time with it now? Yes, Jeff, you've got your...
You cannot win with your wives. They don't have a 29-year limit.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
They don't.
I had a wife once that I did something, and she said, "Do you remember the times you did such and such?" And guys don't remember things like that. And I went, "No, I don't remember it." "Well, you did." It's like they have this bank of things they hold on to so they can then throw them at you 25 years later. Remember the time you didn't take me out to dinner for my anniversary?
Now, did you win that discussion?
No.
Never.
No. What you have to do, guys are willing to do this, guys apologize. They just admit, okay, it was my fault. I'm sorry I did that. Now let's move on. Do they move on?
No.
They hold on to it.
Women never forget.
Because 2 years later, it comes back up in a fight, right? They just put it. They every time you do something bad, they go, "Well, I'm not going to complain about it now, but I'm putting it on my list because I can turn this in for swell gifts and prizes later on down the line."
No comment.
So
no comment.
Don't call this.
Is he right there? Yeah.
So Alex,
yeah.
Do you think that the governor thing is a political thing against him?
Let me say this. I think there are two parts to this. I would say yes, some of it is political. Okay, in the case of the woman who's running for, I can't remember what she's running for. Anybody know or remember? It's like something like chief advocate or something. I don't know. Not that, even that. Something else. But she's running for something in the New York City race coming up. So that's motivation right there. Okay. Who knows why the rest of them piled on? I guess they were sitting around on their haunches waiting to get even with him or trying to get their day in the sun. But he is not reportedly the nicest guy in the world. Okay, you don't want to take on Andrew Cuomo in a fight because he will
what
just.
New Yorker is.
Well, he's from Queens.
Except you, Alex. Except you, Alex.
Yeah,
You're the nicest New Yorker I know.
Yeah, well, he's from Queens, and he's got a little attitude, right? You know what I'm talking about, Jeffrey. You know what I'm talking about, Robert.
Yeah, come on.
I was born in Queens.
People.
What?
That's just right.
I mean, I understand, but is he using his power in a wrong way?
No.
These girls.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, I don't know.
What he did, Dan, what he did was no different than any guy does who's single and is at a party or at work or whatever and wants to get to know somebody better. All
Like
right.
Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Like-
No, not like
No,
Kavanaugh.
not like
Kavanaugh was
Kavanaugh
pressed
took
up
a
against-
woman, got her drunk, and supposedly raped her. All right?
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
Let me
But
take
there's
a
no
wild
proof.
guess here.
Yeah.
Kavanaugh's
There's
a
no
big
proof.
Second
What do you
Amendment
want for-
supporter.
Wait, hold
Is
on.
that what this
Yeah.
comes down
Oh
to?
yeah, Kavanaugh's a big Second
And
Amendment.
by the way, you
Yeah.
know, now that we're on the subject of the Second Amendment, Mr. Allen,
Oh, boy.
Yes.
you once broached about a week or so ago, I wasn't on the show, and you started pontificating about House Bill 127. And you started listing all the things that 127 would do. And so I found myself a little bit, like the whole thing, a little dubious. So your reporter went and read
It's-
House Bill 127 from cover to cover.
Okay.
And
Oh,
it does
for you.
none of the shit that you tried to peddle here. None. What 127 does is it makes all guns and ammunition registerable, and it disallows the transfer or sale of ammunition or guns from one party to another unless they are duly licensed and that the database across America is notified. However, if you type in HR 127 in Google, what you come up with is about 25 straight hits about how horrible 127 is until you look at the sources. The NRA, law enforcement, gun lovers lobby, gun lovers club, target practice people. Look at 25 in a row, all talking against that bill, and they're all biased on one side of the issue. But read the goddamn bill. It does
I've read it.
none of the things that you mentioned, not one.
I read it. I read it before I commented on it. You and I are reading something different, obviously.
Oh, yeah, must be. And what's your source? I actually read the House bill itself.
I'm not
And it
that well
mentions
educated.
nothing about the things that you talked about. It doesn't restrict ammunition. And I'll tell you another thing I found funny that same night. You bitched about Democrats, and yet by the end of the night, you said you were in favor of registration. You said you were in favor of limiting the size and scope of weapons. You said that you were in favor of a cooling off period between the time you registered the weapon and could actually take ownership of that weapon. Congratulations, you just became a Democrat. That's all we've been saying for 100 years. You know, so like all of a sudden you're acting as if Democrats are this evil force, and then you went and you espoused the Democratic position on all those things.
That's the
So,
story
like, I
of the
don't get your
Republican
head
Party.
about
Right.
this.
The NRA just over and over again, all they say is Democrats want to take your guns. Democrats want to take your guns. And the
And
NRA
how
just
many
wants you to
times in
sell more
American
guns.
history, by the way, have people come to take your guns? Has that
Never.
ever happened in your lifetime?
Not in this
Not
country.
once.
Not in this
Not
country.
once. But
Never.
the NRA, gun lovers, all these lobbies constantly put the fear in people like you and others. Oh, they're going to come take your
But let me
guns. Oh,
ask
they're
you.
gonna
Let me
come
ask
take
you a
your guns.
question
Oh, they're
here.
gonna-
Wait a
and it's
minute,
bullshit.
Brian.
Just really quick, and the next thing that they're threatening are the cars. You know, first it was guns, and now they say, well, the Democrats are going to take your cars away. So everybody who has a
Hamburgers.
gasoline car, they're going to take it away because they want clean everywhere by 35. But they're not going to take our cars.
Yeah.
No.
Only
That's
the
new
old
threat.
only the old Cadillacs are going.
But that's the new threat. The guns is the threat. Now they're
I
using
haven't-
cars.
No,
I haven't
no.
heard
All
the
they
car
all they've
threat.
said is by 1935 or 2035, which I won't be here for. Maybe most of us won't be. Who knows? They want to simply go to non-fossil fuel driven cars. That doesn't mean we're going to do away with all the old cars that are already on the road, and eventually they'll rot and fall away, and maybe by 2075, all you'll have basically on the roads are non-polluting cars.
But I had a lot of people, Republican friends, that were saying, oh, they're going to take your cars away too.
Oh,
Just
no.
saying that was another thing.
No, there's no,
Yeah,
I
there's,
haven't
somebody
heard that.
told them that on Newsmax or
yeah,
OAN.
there's no,
or
yeah,
some
but there's no
bullshit
intention of
network like
doing.
that.
There's no intention of doing that. It's simply a phasing out of the cars that we have. Okay, so I mean, what's the big deal? You'll still have a car.
I'm glad you're keeping me in check, Robert. That makes me feel well.
Well, it bothers me because you have a tendency to characterize people and to stereotype. Democrats all want to take your guns away. I don't know one except Beto O'Rourke, who said it after the shootings in El Paso and can probably be excused because he was very emotional at the time. He did say it.
And
But
he
other
knew
than
he
that,
wasn't going to win.
I've
anyways.
never once seen a bill go through either house of Congress that threatened to take you, Alan, you, Phil's gun away. Not once.
Yeah.
And yet I've been hearing this since I was a kid.
By the way,
Yeah.
I'm a I was a Democrat. I'm now an independent, as you are,
I've never been a
Alan.
Democrat.
And I'm one of those people that would like to just take all guns away from all people. Yeah, you know, I think they're dangerous. They kill people, and people. It's like if a kid uses a toy and he uses it wrong, we take the toy away, don't we? As a penalization of them for using the toy wrong. I think that we need to do that with Americans. I think we've been using guns all wrong. And if we don't have proof of that, check the murder statistics in this country, you know? The availability of weapons to people in this country is just, it's disgusting. There are more guns in this country than there are people.
So Alex, let's look at the murder rate and who does them. Do law-abiding citizens that own guns legally, are they the majority of people doing the murders, or is it drug dealers and gang members?
Well,
that have illegal. Wait a minute.
Every murder's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some people.
I think you may be. I think you may
be
be wrong in your statistic. I think that the major people that die from guns are from gun accidents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you figure that?
How do I figure that? There are people who get killed all the time because
I'm not
kids playing with guns.
So let's go back to 2016, where Chicago had a higher murder rate than Los Angeles and New York put together. I think
Okay, well,
their guns
okay,
coming from Indiana.
okay, wait a minute, Robert.
Yep.
I'll grant you that, Alan. But now, what is you having a gun? How does you having a gun solve that in any way?
It doesn't.
Okay, thank you. I rest my case.
But it solves,
Your Honor, I rest my case.
But if somebody, but your case is, if I want to own a gun, which I can in this country, and I want it for my personal protection, I can, to protect not property. I don't care. If somebody wants to steal my car, let them take my car or my TV or something. But if somebody comes into my house and is threatening my life or one of my loved ones, I want to be able to defend myself.
All right. At any point,
Who's
have
trying
you
to
ever
kill you?
heard me say that I want to take away your gun?
I didn't hear you.
Wasn't the point of what I was saying all this time that this business about taking away your gun is a straw man that you all have created and made everyone on the other side of the argument the boogeyman? You know, that's the easiest tactic in the book. And who's doing this to you? It's the NRA. It's in their vested interest that guns get sold. It's all kinds of gun enthusiasts and gun companies. It's in their interest that you feel that way. You know, stop and think about who it is that's influencing you and what it is do they stand to gain by you feeling that way. You're being manipulated. I never said I would take away your guns, and neither did any Democrat I've ever heard, except Alex.
We also have here in California and through most states, we have registration and licensing that protects some people, you know, from being stupid. I mean, I don't see how you, Alex, think that most of the murders in this country are an accidental discharge.
I'm not saying they're all accidental. I mean,
see where
they're
it matters.
more unintended than anything. Also,
Really?
yeah, and also people getting killed with their own guns when there wasn't
Yeah.
a gun in a situation, but they were suddenly going to use it to protect themselves, and they didn't have the ability to pull that trigger, so it got wrested away from them, and they got shot.
So-
Small, very, very small
If you own a
percentage.
gun, you're more likely to accidentally hurt yourself than any stranger coming in.
I mean,
All right,
the
so-
And
reason
who's trying to kill you that you need to have a gun that you're so. What are you so worried about?
to begin
Alan?
with, if you want to have a gun to protect yourself, then I don't want you to have a gun because you're ultra paranoid.
Yeah.
And I don't like paranoid people to have guns
Yeah.
in their hands.
Yep.
I don't
Worried
call it
everybody's trying to
paranoia.
kill you.
The Second
I don't
Amendment
want-
affords me the right in this
It
country.
does. It may or it may not. There's
I
still
don't
an
think- I
argument
don't-
about that. You know, the Supreme Court did rule years ago that that wasn't what the Second Amendment said. But then somehow
Really?
they went back and got another Supreme Court to rule the other way. No, in 1933, I think. Am I right or wrong, Robert?
It was all lobbying.
Yeah,
The
they
money
they
on
had
the
a
side
they
of
had a case in
gun
the Supreme
industry.
Court, and they deemed that it was a collective right, not an individual right, because it says in order to maintain a well-ordered militia, the right to bear arms will not be infringed. Meaning that as a group you can have guns, but as an individual you can't. And they ruled that in I think 1933. And then as the years went on, other people went to court and they reversed it the other way.
I don't know. I didn't follow that.
Yeah. So I
But
mean, huh?
These gun freaks that are in Congress now, like that Boebert and
Oh, God.
Marjorie Green, they don't only want the right to protect you to own a gun. They want the right to threaten you with a gun. They think it's perfectly fine to show up in Congress with a bunch of militia guys carrying fucking machine guns. Oh, that's
John-
cool.
Wow.
That's their right.
They helped
And
out
let-
with the insurrection anyway, so.
So
John
what
is
about,
right. And
what
let's
about the First Amendment?
point.
What about
Who-
the First Amendment?
What's the First
What-
Amendment? What do you mean?
That's
First
lobbying.
Amendment-
Wait, hold on, one at a time.
Freedom of speech.
Robert,
Who is it that's lobbying Congress in favor or against the Second Amendment? Well, it's the NRA, it's the people who produce guns, millions upon millions of dollars. Who is it that's trying to restrict guns? Parents of children who've been killed. What do you think the government is going to lean toward when their pockets are being lined by these multi-million-dollar industries whose benefit comes from the sale of weapons? Nobody's
Obviously.
looking to take your fucking gun away.
Yeah.
You know, you
I-
gotta
I-
get
I
past
would like-
that.
I haven't said that they're looking to take my gun away. I have said that they're in HR 127. There's ammunition changes. There's capacity changes.
Registration of it. There's the inability to transfer it so that you with a license can't go into a gun show, buy ammunition, and then hand it to a 14-year-old legally.
I'm totally
It
for
has to
that,
be
Robert. I've never said
transferred
to the
legally.
contrary.
wait a minute. What you?
And your source, I'm sure, are the same fucking magazines that Phil reads that are put out by law enforcement. And again, it's in their vested interest to keep you believing that these horrible people want to take away the extension of your dick. I'm sorry, but it just came out of my mouth. That's what I've always felt.
What?
about
His dick
guns.
came out of your mouth?
Something like that. Yeah, it sounded terrible. I've always felt that it was just like sexual, sexual deficiencies. Look at me, I've got
Well,
a gun.
look.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
the
that
open carries, absolutely.
what we're talking about here is that we have a country that's been, I mean, how do you feel, for instance, Alan, about the fact that Proud Boys have the right to bear arms?
Under the Second Amendment, I have no problem.
Okay, let's do away with the Second Amendment.
I have
then.
a problem. I have a problem with Proud Boys on their own, but if they can legally have a gun, they can have a gun.
Sure.
I don't like Proud Boys. I
Yeah, no,
think they ought to be
I
prosecuted for I don't know
right,
what.
but still, they have the right to bear arms.
We all do, unless
Bear
you're a
arms where?
convicted felon.
Bear arms where? That's the question.
Yeah.
You're going to go to a park where there's a protest going on carrying guns? I
No,
don't think so. You're going to get on a bus in the middle of a fucking city with guns? No.
No.
I don't think you got a right to that. Sure, you got the right to go shoot guns at a out in the mountains shooting hunting. Fine, that's fine. But carrying it into like, a grocery store, bullshit. That's not right.
Let
I
me,
think
No automatic weapons.
threatening. That's threatening.
Hunting.
this will
No,
go.
I-
This argument will go around and around in circles.
Yeah, it's never going to get
Okay,
solved. but-
because I'm never going to be able to convince Alan that I'm right, and he's never going to be able to convince me he's right. But for the sake of us all, I just hope we have more responsible use of guns in this country and less people carrying
I'm
them.
absolutely for that. And Robert mentioned automatic weapons. I don't think citizens should have them.
But that won't happen, and you know it as well as I
Listen,
do.
how fast can I buy a gun? Right now, how
you
fast
can't get
can
an
I?
automatic weapon, I'll bet you, in New Jersey. You can't get one in California. You can't get one in New York. You can't get them in Illinois. The states have imposed penalties.
Can you get them in Georgia?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, well, I don't want them in Georgia. I'd rather they
Well, I
sell
don't
them in
live
New York.
Georgia. Georgia has their own problems.
Anyway, listen, I want to get to something else quickly for a second, and this has to do with Charlie. Your state of Texas,
Charlie.
your governor needs to be ripped out of that wheelchair and thrown out of office.
Oh, again.
You know?
No mask.
Yeah. Today he said no masks and everything's open.
An asshole.
Woo!
What do you think is going to be what do you think is going to be the result of that, Charlie?
Lots of Texans are going to die.
Yep. Yep.
Charlie's gonna be stuck in his house more now.
Right.
Longer.
Well, luckily he's had the
I'm
second.
not going anywhere.
You've had the second shot, right? Have you had your second shot yet? Yeah. So he can go anywhere he wants. But, I mean, if we're going to end this thing, it's idiots like this guy in Texas who has just completely made it ridiculous.
Exactly.
I mean, the only person it's good for is Brian.
Still a lot more tests.
Yeah, more tests. You sell more tests. What?
Yeah, we just opened up we just bought another building across the new building that just opening up right now for another 1,600 people or something. So crazy.
In other words, business is really booming for you.
It's
this. In case you don't know what he's talking about, it's this little item, folks, right there.
Our parent company just came by, the new CEO, top guy, and he just said, what else can you guys do? Here's all the money you guys need to open everything else up. So we said
What is that thing?
October, and he said July. So it's crazy right now.
Wow. So and it's not going to get any better as long as we don't start doing something about it. And what's going on in Texas, Charlie, I just feel for you. It's insanity. Just insanity.
It's a good thing people in Texas only stay in Texas, right? Wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean,
they're going to spread it around the country. It's going to take a lot longer to get herd immunity.
Yeah.
And we're kind of at a point right now that everybody's saying that if we wait another couple months of lockdown, we probably will be able to open a lot of stuff up in 2 months. But this is not the time.
Well, I don't know, Robert, if you heard my segment with Phil, but he brought up the fact, he says, well, Florida isn't as in bad shape as the other states.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I'm sorry, where did you hear that? They have how many people right now? Something like 25,000 people dead in Florida with a population that's far less than New York or California. I think it was the woman who's the governor of North Dakota, or is it South Dakota? The one that is the big Republican.
Yeah, Kirsty Nome.
Yeah, Nome.
South Dakota.
She got up and said, we've had less cases in where is she? North Dakota or South Dakota?
South.
Huh?
South Dakota.
South Dakota. I can't. They should just make them one Dakota. You know. And take away 2 senators, by the way. She said we've had less cases in
Which is
South
bullshit.
Dakota,
If
which
you
is
do it per
bullshit.
capita.
Because per capita, they are like number 4 in the country or 5 in the country.
Yeah.
And yet she's trying to say, oh, Dr. Fauci's a liar. We haven't had any problems here. We have less of it. Yes, you do. It's just you haven't got that many people.
So right now, if you look at the CDC site and at a couple of the other sites, Texas is the big state right now that has the most people getting COVID and dying. Their positivity rate's high and everything. And so it surprises me that their governor did what he did.
So are they higher in deaths now than California is?
It's not the only state that's done that recently. Mississippi, Ohio, the Dakotas, I think North Dakota and Montana have also said you can do away with masks.
How about California?
Ohio never had a.
Ohio
has a total mask mandate.
No, but
our governor's not that stupid.
What's happened with deaths there in California? Are they going down now?
Yes.
They're going down.
Yes,
Okay.
dramatically. Dramatically.
And are they going up in Ohio?
I don't pay attention to Ohio.
Yeah, I don't know what Ohio's numbers are like right now. I can find out if you give me a minute.
Yeah, you live where in Ohio?
I live in Ohio. Yeah.
Go to the CDC's website; it'll tell you real easily.
I was just going to go to my weather map. It's got.
California's going to open up restaurants tomorrow.
But for 100% capacity?
50%. I think it's
25% in our county.
Because we're doing 35% here, and the only reason we're doing it is because our governor has been accused of improprieties with women, and if one more woman comes forward, it'll go up to 50%. That's why I don't want pressure on our governor. Let him do the job he's got to do, following the science, and not do it because he's now being pressured by political considerations. And believe me, he's a political animal. He will bow to political considerations. But
Ohio's almost up to 1 million cases already.
Yeah.
In this past week.
I don't have that. I just have the totals here.
Teasing.
Yeah. But
I don't have all the information.
But here in New York, things are, we're losing about 80 a day, and the percentage went up to 5.28% of the people tested, where yesterday it was down around 3 something. It's very low. But that could just be because maybe we did more testing or where they tested or whatever. How is it in New Jersey right now? Robert, not good,
the numbers are going down, but they're still frightening. In my hometown, we're still getting about 50 people a week, and that's in a town of 25,000.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be well past the crest of this, and still 50 people a week, within a month, you're starting to get up to 1% every so many weeks. It's still frightening.
Well,
and
the thing
this
is,
town,
the
Princeton and the surrounding area are the probably the average age is in the mid to high 50s. I would say it's older population, except for the campus itself.
Wow.
Yeah, and it has been most of the time the older population everywhere in the country.
So you've had to ramp up production a lot, Brian, with your company?
Yes.
Yeah,
we're just on qualification on our new lines in Newark, and then, like I said, we just got the next building across the street and up one. It's like crazy. So we have China and India project going on right now, and then Lodi. We're expanding in Lodi too. So yeah, it's just crazy.
Gee,
crazy
Bombay and Lodi, huh? Or Mumbai.
Yeah.
And Lodi.
You could write a song.
Yeah.
The other thing we're doing right now, which is pretty smart. Our guys are very, very smart people, but they have a new version coming out also that's going to help with the variants a little bit. There's not much we have to tweak, but they're gonna have another version of it, so it'll help with some of these variants we're seeing. So.
Well, you put this has an opening, and what you put the swab in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Put the swab in there and break it off. Close that cap, and then you put it into our machine. And we designed the machine.
Okay, but this thing isn't filled with anything, right?
No, there's not that one.
Right, but
there's liquid reagents in some of those chambers and dried frozen like little bead reagents.
Yeah. So if everybody wants to find out, go use that code right now, and you can.
Yeah, that's old. Now.
Yeah, but
We've done over 12 million cartridges.
So in other words, the reagent is already in here, and then you take this and you put this into a machine, and how fast can you get the results back?
That one's 90 minutes.
Really? That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of 15-minute tests now. Are they?
Yeah, actually, sorry, I take that back. It's 45 minutes. 45 minutes for this one. Yeah. Okay. And now we have the Fluvid, which is combining 4 different respiratory assays, and then we have the new version that's going to be coming out pretty soon. So.
Yeah, wow. And then they have the one with strawberry, I think. It's
strawberry flavor.
Strawberry flavor.
We do MTB for Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in Africa. We do all the high burden, countries. So so we do a lot of stuff for good.
Well, you are in a growing, important business, Yeah,
and we had all these things set up for the next years for a lot of oncology stuff, and now that sort of got wiped off the table with COVID. So
it's troubling though that your company says, "Yay, a new strain!" Whoopee! It's somehow
we spent 20 years to be $1 billion revenuing company. And now we doubled that in 1 year, and we have huge projections for the next couple. Yes, so crazy.
On the other hand, I would imagine that your company would love it if there was no business out there. If the world was safe from these things.
We just want to be able to detect stuff quick, because there's always going to be something out there. So we just want to help.
What about this stuff though, where they do it and like Marjorie goes to get the thing, and then she got to take a test, and within 15 minutes they've got the result.
But
is it accurate?
40 to 55% accuracy and sensitivity, where our stuff is like 98% accuracy and sensitivity.
All right. Yeah. Okay, good.
Like when Trump and those guys had their first test and they went positive, they go and take a PCR test, which is our version also, and that's the next one that's really accurate.
Hey, Jeff, let me ask you: when you got your second shot, did you have any effects from it?
None. The only problem is that they put a Band-Aid on, and I got some hair there. And when they pulled the Band-Aid off, it hurt.
Okay, well, your arm was sensitive to begin with.
I didn't cry, but it did hurt.
Good.
I don't know. Mine was on there
Jeff,
about
a boy.
I forgot that I had one there. Marjorie finally said, you've got a Band-Aid still there.
Yeah.
And so I took it off. But
I had symptoms from my first shot, actually.
Yeah.
What about the COVID shot?
I got pretty nasty headache that day, and I also got a case of the chills.
That could happen. That can happen. Yeah, that can happen.
You know what I'd like to know before you go?
What?
I wonder if in time we're going to find out if there's a correlation between side effects and how serious you would have gotten the disease. I'm just curious if there's going to be something they learn about that in time.
I doubt it. Doesn't seem like something that's.
I think it's very logical, Robert.
Something,
Well,
I think that's a smart thing.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to know you're going back for your second shot. Jeff's had his second shot. You're not ready to get one, are you, John Larkin?
No, I'm only 63, but when I went over there, it seemed like they were encouraging me to go try anyway.
Yeah.
Like you know, just go ahead, go see it. But I was like, I'm not going to get in that line.
Charlie's had his second shot, and he's ready to go. The rest of you.
Bring a cane, Larkin. Bring a cane.
The rest of you will keel over, but we're going to survive the.
Everybody's got a cane in San Francisco.
I just don't want to get in line and then have them say, no, you're not qualified.
Yeah. Anyway, everybody, it's time to go. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Mr. Larkin. And thank you to Charlie. Everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye back at you, okay? There they go. That's our citizen panel as they disappear, okay? That's it for us for tonight. Jack Bishop is next with The Intersection, his first show of the week, and we'll be back again tomorrow night. We're doing a sports show. I think it goes on at 9 o'clock. How come I don't know what time it goes on? Anyway, it goes on tomorrow night, and then we come on at about 10:30, same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, be safe out there. Wear a mask. Okay? All right. Be considerate of other people. Or, if you can, get a shot. Bye, everybody. Have a nice night.